This is Dave McCain with the Right Tree Genealogy doing another AT or cousin DNA video. Benefit of sibling testing. That's different. And this video is presented by me, David McCain, family genealogist with the Right Tree Genealogy. So the research question that I'm putting out here, this is a pretty simple topic, but I do want to cover it again because I've been asked about it. Why should I test siblings? Well, let's go to a fundamental thing here. A fact about sibling AT or cousin DNA or relationship DNA is a sibling is about 50% matched to you. They're not 100%, even though they have the same parents. They don't have the exact same DNA. So that means you have sections of your DNA that you have here and your sibling has over here, and they don't match. Others is half of it matches and half of it doesn't. And another one is full DNA. It means you match exactly to each other in that same spot. So that's one fact about DNA. It's not 100% matching, even though you had the same parents. And then some matches, based on that same fact of part number one, is you don't have the same amount of centimorgan matching, which is on that AT DNA that you see on like Ancestry and 23andMe and those sites. You don't have the exact same amount of match in the same spot. And then with that said, tying to 2 and 1, your ethnicity estimates can be different. So by testing a sibling, you find out a lot of additional information, or at least potential information. Well, let's start with that very first one. Siblings are about 50% matched to you at the AT-DNA. Again, that's like at Family Tree DNA's, Family Finder, and 23andMe and Ancestry's DNA matching. That's what these are about. Well, recombination of your DNA, and you have two segments, a mother's and a father's segment, or fathers and mothers, whichever way you want to look at it, on your chromosomes. And each one of those chromosomes has a piece from the mother and a piece from the father. And depending on what part of that or segment you get, you could be completely different from your sibling. And that's where the term full match, which is both top and bottom match, and this is again on graphically on like GEDmatch or other ones, the graphically meaning that they match both the top and the bottom, or both your mom and dad's DNA. You inherited it the same as your sibling, or you got half of it, or you didn't get any of it. And so those are the scenarios that you get there. And I have a video on recombination that I'll attach at the end of this video if you would be interested in seeing that. I want to give an example of what I'm talking about here on cousin matching. The fact that the recombination took place, this is my father's and one of his siblings. It's a sibling 1, sibling 2 in this case. I set it to where it would only show me the top matches up to 100 centimorgans. And these are the top 5 for dad, 6 for a sibling that matched. And if you notice, not one of the top 5 on either side, you do not see the same name across these. And that's again because of that recombination that took place, and you only match about 50%. Well, the one cousin over here, Kelly and Winford, are at 100 centimorgans, but they're not the same person. And that's going to be true anytime you see these things. So you got to realize that you're going to potentially gain additional matches, or at least you see how the DNA centimorgans match when you have a sibling tested, that you're able to see the DNA. Some matches to one sibling are not equal matches to the other sibling. And that last image that I just showed there, further back you go, you're going to see less matching necessarily between you and your sibling. Or in some cases, they just don't match at all. So yeah, it can help you determine if a match is real, and also can help you say, no, that's just regional DNA, meaning a bunch of people came from Ireland or Italy, or you name it, different countries, continents even, that they were just, there's a lot of population that intermarried. By looking at the DNA between siblings, you can say, hey, this person has nothing match, or a very small amount here and a large amount here. Does that tell me some additional information? And I'm going to go to that right now. This is specific examples that I dug up, and these are Betty on one side and Betty on the other, and Texas Arts and Texas Arts at this one. These are actual, the same people matched to 2 siblings. And with that, you look at the difference here. 50 centimorgan match for Betty to sibling 1 and 61 centimorgans to sibling 2. That 11 difference in further back in time is an actual match to someone. And in this case, that's between pretty close, relatively close cousins here. But the more dramatic one I want to do is the next one. This person is actually a first cousin twice removed to both of these individuals. First cousin twice removed. And I'll put that video at the end of this too on, once removed, twice removed, I never left type thing. I'll have that video at the end of this as well. So you notice this is 12 centimorgans here, and this is 53 centimorgans. Now I know the paper trails. I know who this individual is, and we've actually Y-DNA tested. This is on the male line, and they 100% match. So this is one of those circumstances that when recombination took place, my father in this case is the 12. He only got 12. Now, when you look at the unweighted, this is ancestry data. When you look at the unweighted number, it's a little higher than this, but it's still nowhere near what this is over here. And this is even higher. So it just means that one sibling got DNA, and the other one did not. And that's why it's another thing. You can look at this data, look at this DNA, and help you determine, hey, they really are this close. It just so happens that this particular scenario, the recombination did not work for the one sibling versus the other one to show where their relationship. Because you even look here, if I back this up one step here and not looking at this, but looking here, this says 5th to 8th cousin based on that amount of DNA, and this is 4th to 6th cousin. In reality, first cousin twice removed, basically like close to like a second cousin DNA amount, and that's not what's there. So let's go to siblings are somewhat different on ethnicity estimates. And again, it goes back to the company that you test at. That company has a certain regions that they have defined. And in those regions, they have samples from people that have lived there. Sometimes it's scientific samples, but they use a set of that DNA that says, hey, if they see this admixture, as it's called, this DNA appears to be from this region. And I'm going to say this right here. I have shown this in another video, and I'll attach it at the end here for you to watch if you're interested. But there's can be significant differences in those ethnicity estimates. And when you have those differences in those ethnicity estimates, you can say, hey, I thought I was this, but I'm this, or wait a minute, what's going on here? So let's take an example just real quick. I took a snapshot from the video I'm going to attach at the end of this. This is my father and his sister, and their ethnicity estimates on Ancestry, for instance. This is just an example. Well, 25% Scotland here and 48% Scotland over here. And you go, how is that? And again, the admixtures are showing based on the recombination that took place in the DNA. So you've got to do your paper trails to help yourself figure out, is it 25%? Is there 50% of the DNA actually coming from Scotland? And that type of scenario. So again, you can watch that video if you're interested in more detail there. So now let's go to the basic conclusions on this. And that is, you test a sibling to confirm more distant matches and to find additional matches. So by seeing that a sibling matches with a match two different, this person has it and this person has it, as I'll show in those other ones, you can look at those DNA matches. Yeah, they do match. And then you possibly could find that paper trail. It ties it, and the DNA is just a piece of another evidence that you have to show that, yeah, this relationship really existed. And then another one, you can take the look at that ethnicity estimates, and I really try to teach people to look at ethnicity estimates as literally that estimates. Your paper trail is everything. But by having the estimates, you can actually look at it between the siblings and again, just yourself, but the siblings is helpful, and you say, what does this mean? I wasn't expecting to have this DNA from Northern Africa, which we do on some of these DNA tests at one of the companies. And what you find out, you have Spain, Italy, a swath into that Northern Africa. You also have other populations from Middle East, and everyone populating together there and moving, because what we consider a country today is not a country back 100 years, 200, 300, 400 years ago. I'm literally do mean 100 years ago. There's been changes literally even more recent than that. I hope this video was informative, and I'd like for you to consider subscribing right here or watching any of these videos I have, and let's continue learning together.